Crack open that bottle of wine. Grab your favorite glass, pour a couple of fingers of scotch in it. Get that stick, light it, and blow. It's time to hang with Steel Sharpened Steel After Dark.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Steel Sharpened Steel. I am your host for the night. My name is Joy Stevens.
I am Sharon Letman Hicks.
And I am Chuck Hobbs.
And welcome to another episode of Steel Sharpened Steel. What's up, family? Good to have you back in the house tonight. I just want to say shout out to all of our faithful Sharpies. Thank you for hanging with us, waiting for us to, get back in the studio and bring you what you love to see. We have a lot to unpack tonight. Feel free to drop some topics in because it's been a whirlwind couple of weeks here. And whatever you want to talk about, we are here for you. What's up, Anthony? What's up, CJ? Welcome. Anybody else that's out there, give a good shout. Look, ma'am, they did. So I just want you to know I am in charge again. I am running the boards because apparently, Tom is still suffering from the Rona or whatever it is he got. He is under the weather, and I still have admin privileges from last week. So if the show is a little,
we came on to tame her. Let's just tell the truth.
Yeah,
me and Chuck just popped in to get some control around here before we get censored.
I don't know what you're talking about. He told me in the intro to grab your stick, light it, get a glass or something, and drink on. I'm following directions. I don't know what y'all doing.
We're going to get Tipagora on you.
She can do what you want. All I'm saying is, shout out to the Sharpies.
True that.
Hey, everybody. Glad to have y'all back in the building. But we are going to try and get it together tonight. I'm going to try and run the boards and talk at the same time. Tom is good at it. So if it's a little bit choppy, I don't want to hear about it. All right. I'm doing what I can. So y'all just bear with me. But
EP training.
Yes. That's what I am. Executive producer in training. So we're getting started. We're going to, normally we have a lot of things we're going to do. We're going to range from, politics to current events to everything, and try to end on a little bit lighter note so we don't end y'all all sad and depressed and needing more wine than you started with at the end of the show. But I want to start off with a picture that has been going around the internet these last few days, specifically this one that calls to mind too many painful memories. Y'all have seen this picture, right? Mm-hmm. And what you see here is an old cartoon from slavery times. Where you have ostensibly a foreman or a slave catcher and a master, and they're chasing down this poor black man. But then you have something from a few days ago, maybe a week ago, at the Texas border, where you have a guy on horseback chasing down Haitian immigrants. And it doesn't look that different. And so the jarringness of it has shocked a lot of people. Like, this is what we're doing at the end of 2022. Like, 2021, this is where we at. And some people are like, well, it wasn't really a whip. It was the reins from the horse. And you don't know what those guys were doing. I know what they wasn't doing. They wasn't being slaves. I know that. And so y'all weigh in. What did y'all think? And how has this played out for you with this picture being the impetus for so much conversation?
Joy, when you just said happening at the end of 2021, in the middle of 2020, we had George Floyd with the knee on your neck. You had Ahmaud right there in Georgia with something that's not far-fetched from what we saw on the horses, right? Mm-hmm. We had Breonna Taylor. We got all the man. I mean, this is who America is. That's the reality. When I started hearing people talking about this is un-American and, no, actually it's America.
Yeah.
Right. And the problem is America is rolling back to its old ways. And Chuck, the historian, knows it comes in ebbs and flows of generations or dynamic periods of our history. But January 6th was yesterday. Okay. And that wasn't very different than the Civil War. So when you think about even from, Lord, it seems so long ago, in Charlottesville, you know what I mean? This is the drum beat really since Charlottesville. Yeah. And it's actually getting worse.
Exactly.
That is the painful thing. And I grew up in Miami. So the Cuban boat lift versus the Haitians is decades old, especially for South Floridians, right? But to now know they're in Mexico, and the Hispanics, as everybody likes to call them, those are white people from Latin countries, Spanish-speaking countries. As an Afro-Latina, I'm here to tell you, Hispanic and Latinx and Latino is not a race, right? Those are Spanish-speaking white people, just like my relatives, my immediate relatives, are Spanish-speaking Black people.
Yep.
So we have this ignorance around ethnicity, and culture that makes people want to create Hispanics as its own racial class. It's not. Them whip-toting white people who speak Spanish.
If you really want to get technical about it, if I'm not mistaken, it was the Portuguese who first expanded this idea of white and Black to proliferate the slave trade. Oh, they're not real, they're Black, and that's different. They're less than human. They started all of that based off some Northern African who was like, yeah, all them Southern Africans, they're just a bunch of savages. Can I have some more of that wine? So all of that really happened. There's always one willing to sell out their people for, a little bit of scratch. But
and off the heels, Joy, and I think it was me and Chuck having this conversation, but off the heels of Afghanistan, we have 50,000 minimum people being accommodated, right, in the Midwest of the United States of these greats America, right, where our tax dollars are giving them housing and food and making them comfortable, and after 20 years investment, and our Haitian neighbors just had a devastating climate change, as well as their own president just got assassinated, and we're having a conversation about whether or not they're in trouble. Their president has been assassinated. So when I think about all of these things, Afghanistan, I'm having a moment. Afghanistan, Chuck, nobody's talking about it anymore.
Right.
I don't even think it's been 2 weeks when the whole sky fell through. But that's just how insane things are happening in this country. Afghanistan, which was the worst thing that's ever happened, 9/11, was 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. And you wouldn't even know it was in this year. So, okay. Go ahead, Chuck.
No, Sharon, you were breaking it down, as was Joy. It's one of those things where when you look at that picture and you look at those images, every time I have seen those images, every single time, you start to get angry, your blood pressure starts to rise, and I continue to imagine, man, oh man, I wish one of those brothers had just reached up and snatched that dude off that horse and choked him out with that whip, and I know that sounds very violent and very evil, but that's the first gut level reaction that I had just as a man, thinking that here's another man, a white man, whipping on Black men and Black women and Black children. I just can't abide it. And Sharon broke it all the way down. There are a lot of Cubans here in Florida that wore the Make America Great Again hats. I know Cubans who wear Confederate flag hats, right? And again, to add to what Sharon was saying, it's one of those things where people sometimes, we get so focused on white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, we think about the British, we think about the French, we think about Germans, because that's the majority of the whites here in the United States of America. But at the end of the day, some of the most brutal slavery that our ancestors endured were down there in Central America and South America, just as you both were saying. The Spanish and the Portuguese were down there taking it to new levels. Heck, in Brazil, they were still enslaving our people well into the 1880s, right? And so, and in some parts, even after that, even though it was technically illegal. So at the end of the day, the whole notion that, well, if you speak Spanish and what have you, or you have a Spanish last name, you can't be a racist. Europe is broad, Europe is huge, and all of those nations were complicit in the slave trade and the brutal mistreatment of our people. You can go all across that continent and you can find people who are profiting off of our ancestors' misery. And so that's what was bothering me. And Sharon, when you say that, you know, about the 50,000 or so, at least, Afghan refugees that are here, you know, it's one of those things that makes you stop and realize, but they were breaking their necks, they being the United States government, to get those Black Haitians the hell up out of trying to get into Texas. It's like at warp speed, so to speak, they were working with. And you have to ask yourself why. You know, my dad used to say all the time, from his military background, that he traveled around the world 1.5 times. He used to say that all the time. And he said, I've never been anywhere where they love Black people. And, you know, I have not been 1.5 times around, but I've read and through my readings, I've been around 1.5 times. And at the end of the day, I've come to the same conclusion. It's the skin complexion. It's the perception that we are criminally minded, that we are the type of people who are trying to live off of the government dole, which is so frustrating. Like Sharon said, you go down to South Florida or in Central Florida, which are heavy Haitian enclaves here in the state of Florida, you won't find people working any harder than many of our Haitian American brothers and sisters, right? And so at the end of the day, the mere notion, and Sharon and I were talking about this over lunch the other day, you go throughout these United States right now since the pandemic, you can't hardly get food and different things quickly because so many companies are having worker shortages right now, be it fast food, be it restaurants, you name it. And
produce.
Yeah. And like Sharon, you hit that on the head the other day. I've been thinking about it since we talked. You know, here we are we got 10,000 potential laborers, adults ready to get in here and work. All they want to do is work and earn money and be free from political and economic oppression or repression. And here it is, they're getting right on the boat. I mean, getting put right back on planes. And it really pissed me off to see that, you know, they are advertising for workers who speak Creole to go down to Guantanamo Bay. And they're getting ready. And so on one hand, the Biden administration is saying, oh, no, that's not what we're about to do. But the proof is in the pudding. Why else are you advertising for Creole speaking detention employees unless you about to put some Creole speaking folks down there in Gitmo? So it is disgusting.
I mean, did you see making a parallel, did you see the prisons in Afghanistan? Oh, yeah. My God. How more people you could not put a pencil between the people that they were stacked on, to the point that they had to hang their belongings. Like, you couldn't have like a blanket next to you. I don't know how more people to hang themselves. They had to hang it in the ceiling of the prison, their, lap bags or any belongings that they had, mainly to cover themselves. And they had hoses. The guards walked on top of the prisons with hoses and hosed the people down. Oh, excuse me, that was Americans, right? So, and you talk about just let's talk about long-term impact, Joy. Costco's today has started limiting their toilet paper and paper towel again. Not because of COVID specific shortage, because there's nobody to drive the trucks. There's nobody to haul the production. Yeah. And we got, close to 100,000 immigrants coming in that we trying to figure out how to send them back out. And,
like I said, I do D&I training all the time in corporate, and I like to give it to them. They never quite know what they're going to get when they hire me. And I always walk in with the knowledge to my mind, I don't care if I never come back in here, you're going to get this work today. And so one of the things, I break it all the way down for them. I talk about specifically Chuck, I tell them about the differences between slavery as it manifested in the United States and slavery in Central and South America, and the idea of grow your capital, which is the breeding programs they had in the United States, versus churn and burn, which is what they did in South America and Central America. Churn and burn, meaning you get some slaves in, you use them until they die, even if they don't ever hit puberty or reach their 20th birthday, and then you just get some more. So they actually imported 10 times as many people into such a small landmass in the Caribbean as they did into the entire United States. Because the United States is just like, we're just going to breed them like puppies up here. So it's two different models, both brutal. But when you talk about the impetus that led to the Haitian Revolution, you're not making it to 18. You ain't got nothing to lose. Nothing to lose but to fight for your life. In America, there was a level of leverage. Don't cut up and stay here and do what I say, and I'll tell you where I sent your children. There was always that hope that springs eternal. Maybe you can find out where your sister went, or where your mother is or something, if you just hang on a little longer and try to figure it out. And still rebellions, escape, Underground Railroad, all that kind of stuff. Still people like, I can't do this. But down in Haiti, in Jamaica, in Brazil, everywhere else, what? You get here, you work till you die. You live long enough to see that some of the people that came on the boat with you worked to death in the field. Oh, we're not doing this. Right. And so it's 10 of us to every one of them. We can take them in that small amount of area that led to the Haitian Revolution, which ironically, and I got this off of your page, Chuck. I don't want to pretend to be this erudite. I stole this off of Chuck's page. If you look at the timing of the Haitian Revolution, it bankrupted Napoleon, which forced him to sell the Louisiana Purchase to the United States. That's how the U.S. got as big as it was, is because Haiti was such a pain in the ass to France, right? And so we owe them, once again, this is Chuck's research. It's just my voice. But we owe them a benefit.
Read it effectively.
For us to be sitting here now calling them a shithole country and not wanting to let them in, right? It's ridiculous.
And the white folks were scared, right? Like, here in the United States of America, you think about the Haitian Revolution, Toussaint knows whipped those white folks in 1804. In 1800, Gabriel Prosser had tried to lead a revolution here in the United States. Then you had Demart Vesey's attempted revolution in 1822. And then you had Nat Turner's in 1831 that was actually quite successful. And one of the things that was always in the back of the minds of the Southern planters was, we don't want our Negroes to do to us what Toussaint knows did to those Frenchies down there in Haiti. And so a lot of the beatings, a lot of the murders, a lot of the real crackdowns here in the southern part of the United States were owed to the fact that they were scared. I mean, when you look at the numbers, and I don't have them off the top of my head, but I remember learning years ago that, man, in South Carolina, right, the first state to secede from the Union that ultimately led to the Civil War, South Carolina, our ancestors exceeded whites like 3-1. It was something like really ridiculous. And I've always thought in the back of my head, I'm like, boy, if we could have just, I don't know, if John Brown had maybe just started there, right, where the laborers were aplenty, it could have been a bloodbath in South Carolina with the right leadership and what have you. And I don't say that to revel in violence, but I mean, again, that's intelligence. As Malcolm X said, if you're being violent against me, it's intelligent that I return your violence with violence. And so it's at the end of the day,
it's intelligent.
That's exactly what it is. It's intelligence. So I am frustrated by it. We have so many people who have direct ears to Joe Biden. And so the only thing that gives me some encouragement is that some of the people that we know, some of the people that we know are conscious, or as the Republicans like to say, woke, work within that administration and have the ability to say, look, this is a bad look. The optics are terrible. We need to do better, because as it stands, I can't say anything but what's the difference between what's going on.
It took a whole 48 hours, Chuck.
Yeah.
Because Mayorkas was talking cash shit.
Yeah.
The first day, like, everyone is going back. Everyone is going back. And he sounded so heartless. And then the next day, the horse and buggy and whips showed up. They was like, wait, we didn't mean that. I'm like, man, you are a record. You are a record already, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm not falling on a sword for this one.
No. It amazes me how the people in power that like to talk tough about what they're going to do to, Black and brown people are always shocked when somebody does it for them. We're going to round them up. I don't care if we got to kill them all. We'll get them back. I didn't think he was really going to do it. What the hell did you say it for?
Right.
Who are you, posturing for? Yeah. Why are you doing these things? And why are you talking so tough? You feeling frog and jump because you ain't gonna do it yourself, but you rile up your base. And then when people get injured, or like you said, it's a bad look, or, you sick dogs on children, then you wonder, oh my God, is this who we are?
And Joy,
this is who you told them to be. This is who you know what I'm thinking about, and I'm gonna break left real quick. But Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Remember the TV show that came on Disney? Mm-hmm. There was one piece where their new Captain America, who just looked like privilege in a suit, he was on trial because he had killed somebody in the street with Captain America's shield, just like right there, and he was on trial, and he was going for war crimes, or whatever. And he said, "I am what you made me." And I thought about that as I was watching the show, like, yes, this is the Captain America that they asked for. Violent, unapologetically violent, and willing to do what they told him they wanted him to do. But then when he did it on camera and got caught, oh my God, I can't believe you did this. I'm what you made me.
Thank you. Thank you.
And so we see that playing out right now.
And on that issue, Joy, I saw a meme earlier today that stopped me in my tracks. It said something to the effect of, if you whipped a dog like that on film, you would lose your job. And at the end of the day,
my God,
we have some people who are applauding what was going on. Yeah, we even had some Black people that were applauding and doing the whole, well, you don't know what was really at play. We need to wait for the facts. I don't need to wait for anything. I can see with my eyes that my people are being whipped and rounded up like a bunch of livestock. So I don't need to wait at all to know what it is I'm looking at. But that's the whole reason why 12, 13 years ago, I never got down on Michael Vick, and I still haven't. I mean, he paid his debt to society, but there are too many of our fellow Americans who genuinely care more about puppies and Cecil the damn lion and Harambe the gorilla than they do about living, breathing, thinking Black people. And so at the end of the day, I mean, I don't want to see people going and mistreating animals, but I really don't give a damn, tell you the truth. Not on
we just want to be treated like them. Shit.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Like that's
the bad part.
If you remember the story with Amy Cooper in New York in Central Park, a whole lot of people were way more upset about her yoking up that dog than about the fact that she tried to call the police on a Black man and have him murdered for nothing.
They really were. The
just incensed. Oh my God.
You see what she did? Like, she choked.
Take her dog away. Oh yeah. What'd she say about that guy?
Mm-hmm. Like, he did what now? Like, yeah, but the dog, did you see the dog? And so, man, it makes you realize that, no matter how liberal, progressive, conservative somebody is, there are certain things that we as Black people on average see differently than many of our white brothers and sisters. Not all. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's some allies out here who get it. Most of our Sharpies of the European persuasion, they get it, or they wouldn't stick with us as long as they do. But it's a whole lot of folks who simply don't get it. And I'm talking about even Democrats who are just like, well, what do you expect President Biden to do? I mean, he's had, he's trying. No, stop it. Stop what's going on at the border. Do something differently than what your predecessors have done. I don't want to hear the whole, well, he's just getting in office. I don't care about that. I see people being mistreated, and he has the power to say stop. And that's what he needs to do immediately.
I had that discussion with someone a couple of weeks ago, and they're like, well, he's got a lot on his mind, and, he's fighting a lot of fires. Fight this fire, though.
Right.
I don't care what other legislation you're trying to pass and what long-term plan. And I understand that COVID is the thing that you got to work on. But at the same time, you could just say, cut that out right now. Even if it ends in turmoil and we don't know what we're going to do with all these people and blah, blah, blah. And it's a mess. What you can say is immediately we will stop doing this abuse. You can say that.
Absolutely.
And turn it into another problem that is less damaging to humanity than what you're doing now.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
You know what? I'm gonna Abu Ibrahim Musa says, stop destabilizing these countries.
Thank you, Noob.
You know, that's a good start. We go in and cause all kind of problems, all kind of ruckus, all for our monetary gain, because it's always following the money back. And then then give guns to the country, and then when they turn them on people that used to be our friends, and we abandon them and leave them, and then we end up causing a war that we leave mid-war. We come back and check on it 10 years later, and we're like, oh, what are you doing? We need to go in and stop this for democracy. You mean the bullshit you caused? You know, Killmonger is a thing. I'd keep going back to Marvel, but the kind of agents that go in and destabilize the government by assassination, by causing upheaval, spreading dissent, et cetera, all of that shit is real. We may not see it, but it is all absolutely happening. And we destabilized. I'm not going to get into it because I don't want to get people knocking on my door, but we've done a whole lot of dirt to a whole lot of countries and then wonder why those countries are poor. Man,
let me tell you, when we were looking at those 9/11 documentaries 2 weeks ago, some of that stuff I had forgotten. I mean, of course, we'll never forget what we were when we saw the planes hit and what have you, and God rest the dead. But some of the specifics, I had even forgotten that Osama bin Laden was once on our payroll too. Like, very hated Osama bin Laden was useful to us, as were so many of these folks who later turned against us when they were fighting the proxy war against the Soviet Union. But the problem is that the United States, and when I say the United States, I'm talking about that Eurocentric, imperialistic, we have the right to control everything, like, you know, Newt was saying there, the destabilizing factor. What they don't understand is Osama and so many other people were like, yeah, okay, thank you for the weapons to fight and get rid of the Soviet Union. Now take yourselves and get out of our country too. We don't want you here either. And that's the problem. The whole manifest destiny type mindset, the we are God ordained to be able to go wherever we want to go and do whatever it is that we want to do. When in reality, we need to stay our butts home and stay out of other people's affairs and treat people, when I say people, other countries, particularly countries that are led and have plenty of people of color living there, treat folks with basic decency and respect, and watch and see if things don't get better.
You know,
I'm reading some of the comments from our folks now.
Yes.
Yeah, we got some good stuff. I see Dr. Oliver teaching my students this too. Now that they can record me, let's see how long I will still have it. Yeah. I for sure. You know, and we all have to think about those things sometimes. But you know what? We get to a point where we're in our 40s, you know, 50s, heading into our 60s. You know, you're living your life. If you can't speak your truth, then you might as well be dead. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, none of us, when we're telling these truths, are out here espousing hate, and we're not out here trying to hurt anyone. We're just trying to get people to act right and do what they're supposed to do, to leave us the hell alone, period, full stop, in the story.
Yes.
On that note, talking about the premierness of whiteness, did you catch the news all week while the whole country's in hell, that the only thing that led to top of the news was this Barbie doll white girl that we are saddened that she has periled, that everyone knew from day one that we had to learn every minute, every morsel, every moment of her existence on her vlog over the past week, to the point of ad nauseum. And now this weekend and into next week, we will be on the national manhunt for someone that we have no clue whether they're dead or alive, whether their parents are covering up. He could be in their parents' basement for all we know. But the world has become consumed, right, with what the archives had to dig up from the late Sister Gwen Ifill. of what is now starting to have this very immaterial, what's it called? White woman, what?
Was it missing white woman syndrome? Something like that?
Something like that.
Missing, yeah, wait, hang on. I'm going to tell you what it's called. I looked it up.
Earlier.
Yeah, missing white woman syndrome. Because it's specifically, I know we have it bad, but like the indigenous population in the United States, thousands go missing every year, and folks are just black people are 2 to 1. Patrice Rushen, that's a singer. Patrice O'Neal, the comedian. I remember Patrice O'Neal, God rest his soul, talking about this. He did a whole stand-up bit about it. He said the next time he went on vacation, he was going to take a little white girl with him because he knew if he fell overboard on a cruise or something, they wasn't going to look for his black ass, but they was going to look for that little white girl that was with him. When they found her, he'd be holding on to her. Well, and that's what he said,
But no one. I admire how much coverage she got. Right. All we want is the same thing.
Thank you.
But to even see the statistics,
yeah,
right? The statistics of white and white Hispanics, because they said they couldn't separate the two, was like at 30-something thousand, and black people were 15,000. Mm-hmm. And we're not even 15% of the population. Mm-hmm. And they were just 2 to 1. And then all of a sudden, it was just like Ahmaud Arbery. All of a sudden, all these missing black people who've been missing for months, right? They want to, and it was just so, I'm disgusted. They just plotted these people out, devastating. We found that poor black man, beautiful young brother who was in grad school, whose mama came on this morning and they could not get her off that television. She got her 3 minutes, and it was so heartbreaking. But Gabby is literally on television right now, and they done found her. Okay, it's literally on the top of the news right now, and they just keep, they brought out this indigenous woman, they draw out this black boy, they're talking about, but they're doing it so transactionally. So we've been wrong so long, we're going to now just throw everything up on TV. We're not doing any in-depth investigation.
Like trying to pretend that they hadn't been ignoring it all this time. Oh, here's all the folks. We found these articles. I don't know. You know what it is? It's the same bullshit you pull at work. When somebody asks you, where's that email I asked you for? You're like, oh, it's in my outbox. I forgot to hit send. And then you write it real quick because you knew you was lying. It's that same shit. Where's all the stories about all this? Oh, here they are. Girl, put that story together real quick. Just give me a picture, something. Here, see?
Yeah.
I mean, this black boy has literally been in the morgue since before Labor Day.
It's crazy.
Right? Treating his mother like garbage.
Crazy.
Like you couldn't identify a black child.
Right.
Their family talking about his body was so decomposed that it took y'all 3 weeks to do a DNA test and do a really?
Yeah.
And now, tomorrow, this weekend, and we're going to hear everything there is to ever know about this. But what about 3 weeks ago?
Right.
Well, she was still looking for him.
Right.
They had to organize their own search crew. They got a $1 billion search crew looking for the man who's potentially the killer. From Wyoming to Florida.
Yeah. Now
it's just, that's part of you wants to be like, who was Gabby? You will never forget her name.
Now this is another part of the distrust between the police force and the black community, because they always say, oh, black people won't talk to us in the hood, and all these crimes go unsolved or whatever. Half of the time they ain't looking. And and there's
that was so clear.
There's testimony to be taken. There's people crying. Help me find my child. That my house got broken into. I remember when my house got robbed when I was like 11 or 12 years old, and they came and took a police report, and they never came back and asked us for shit else. So this idea of black people don't talk to the cops. Are you listening? Are you trying to help, or are you just looking for somebody to beat up today? And then put this narrative forward that says we are uncooperative as a demographic. We don't talk to the police. But what are you doing? You're not helping at all. You show up, you rough up a few teenagers, and then you tell us we're all criminals, and you don't help us look for the crime that's actually happening. And then you leave, and then you spend all your resources from adjacent counties to go look for one missing white woman.
Look,
y'all
we don't have to go that far back. Right? We don't have to go that far back. Ahmaud Arbery.
Yeah.
Okay, it took weeks to even bring a consciousness of the case for a cover-up.
And if they hadn't been so stupid,
black man.
If they hadn't been so stupid releasing their own,
if Billy Bob wasn't so stupid, if Billy Bob wasn't so stupid, we still wouldn't know about it.
Absolutely, nobody would have been charged. Nobody at all.
But a deliberate, intentional cover-up of the Good Old Boy Network.
And now you add on top of that all of the teenagers, all the young adults, etc., who are, you know, so good with their life ahead of them, whose records get expunged, who get let off with a warning, all this other kind of stuff, all the kind of stuff they do on the weekends that they just consider joyride and everything, and black kids get locked up for and get a criminal record. And then they say, well, look at the statistics. Black people are so much more violent. They have so much more crime in their neighborhood. That's because they don't get their records expunged. They don't have somebody who's friend's dad's best friend's cousin, whatever, is a judge that can sweep it under the rug, or never get investigated in the first place, never get
investigated
in the first place. You get what you track, and you track black people all through their neighborhood, and every time they cough hard, they get called for assault. Of course, they're going to have higher rates of incarceration in areas where all you do is incarcerate people. Meanwhile, you giving drunk Billy, who just ran his car over some little old lady, a ride home, you know, and to check and make sure he's okay.
Man, let me tell you,
all of it, and it happens all the time.
On a personal level, man. I wrote about this earlier this week in my observation point blog.
Chuck, we can't hear you. Speak up a little bit.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, that's better.
I'm close to your mic. Yeah.
Okay. All right, good. I wrote about it a couple of days ago in my observation point blog, just on a personal level. You know, when we look back within our lifetimes, let's say the last 25 years, just like Sharon was just saying, and Joy, you were saying about the Gabby, and we know her name now. You think about her name will forever be etched in our memories, just like John Benet Ramsey, just like
Casey
young lady Natalie Holloway. They were living for Natalie and Aruba forever. It seemed like, and you know, like Casey Anthony, all of those things, right? And yet I remember early in my career, I represented a young lady, and I don't want to say her name because some people who are members of her family, they might even be watching this show or whatever, so I'll just leave her anonymous. But I represented this young sister. I was about 28, 29 years old, man, and she was good people. She had a hard life. You know, she was involved in drugs. She was involved with some prostitution, things like that. But she was good people, you know, and you know, whenever I would talk to her, either in court or at the county jail or whatever, you know, we'd always laugh for a few minutes and joke and shoot the bull before getting down to business. And when I was ultimately able to get her out of jail, I'll never forget that she went missing for several months. And then her skeletal remains were found out near Gaston County, near the Ochlockonee River. I'll never forget it. And they identified her when I read the Tallahassee Democrat, our local newspaper, that she had been identified. You know, it continued to hit me. I'm like, they did more with the remains being found than they did actually with the where could she be. Her family had, you know, indicated that she was missing. And so that always sticks in the back of my brain when I think about these types of situations. And you two hit it on the head. We're not trying to say that Gabby did not deserve full efforts of law enforcement in the world to go find her. We're saying give that equal attention to the Black women, brown women, all sorts of women across the country, and men who are missing, and you never know their names. You never see them on network television, let alone even on blogs or in the local news. So we've got to continue to put our foot down on that, because the mainstream media can do a much better job than what they're doing about these types of matters.
And let me tell you why they don't.
Okay.
Let me tell you why they won't give other people from other communities the same attention that they give the Casey Anthonys and the Natalie Holloways of the world, because so much of it happens. And if they actually put in the work to publicize how often a Black woman goes missing, a Native American woman goes missing, you know, an Asian woman goes missing, how often it happens, it would be a nightly news story. Today's missing person is. Today's missing person for this state is, and then when you throw in a Gabby or a Casey, there's just another face, and we become numb, and we no longer care as much about the white girl as they feel that we should. And so they reserve the space with enough distance between events so that we don't become desensitized, similar to the way we become desensitized to Black people getting shot on television. They'll put that up because they want you to not think about it. They want you to see it's just another Saturday. No, not that Black dude that got shot. The other one that got shot. The shot in Philly, no, shot in Pennsylvania. That. They want you to be so desensitized to it that you can't even keep up with it. But they want you to remember the white women, because that is the final, holdout of what America is trying to protect. Whenever they talk about saving and preserving and protecting, they're talking about white women. It's always been about them. Even the whole thing about the militia and holding on to our guns to protect our families is really to protect our white women and white children. 911 was invented because a white woman got hurt. And they felt like, how come they didn't get to her fast enough? We should have an emergency system where single white women can call if they're in trouble, and 911 was born. And they're still using it to this day as their own personal assistance.
Jermaine, is that true?
Yeah, I have seen similar reports that Kelly Price is missing. R&B singer Kelly Price. Yeah.
Are you serious?
I've seen that flash across the last hour or so.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
They have yet to mention it in the news. I'm looking up nonstop checking.
Yeah, man.
So celebrity Kelly Price is not getting the same attention as as this white chick that's been found. Okay.
It's TMZ is reporting this. Okay. And it has not made breaking news or national news. That's still talking about the manhunt for this absolute nobody
who's dead now.
How many killers are on the loose?
Yeah.
That none of us will ever know their names, but this Brian Laundrie is on every 15 minutes on the news.
Well, she wasn't supposed to be, missing. The other ones are, somebody got to be coming up with these livers and kidneys of people. Where do you think they're getting all them organs from?
Or she has COVID. Now that's even more crazy. So
Kelly Price has COVID?
We need to know where she is. She needs to be in a hospital, not missing.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, Father God. COVID. On that note, COVID still exists.
COVID's going to be exist. You know what? I saw now I did see this on your page, Chuck, but I actually did read this myself before I saw it on your page.
Tell it.
Moderna. The powers that be in Moderna are trying to predict. Now, mind you, Moderna is a pharmaceutical company and not a medical research company. Okay. But Moderna is trying to predict that we will be out of the pandemic in another year.
I hope so.
I think what you want. We all hope so, but understand how the stock market works. That's good for Moderna's numbers. Because also remember that as we're doing booster shots, there's been a little hiccup with the Pfizer booster. Right? We're not really sure if you need a Pfizer booster shot. That's money they're not getting for that third shot.
They have approved Pfizer. It has changed on the website as of tonight. It was announced yesterday, but CDC overrode it this morning. Why? Because I went online to set up somebody's booster shot, and it went from Chuck and I take exception to any shots at Moderna.
Moderna.
We both got third shot from Moderna. Okay, so
I'm just saying,
we are boosterized.
Yeah, so I'm saying is that coming out saying we think we'll be out of it in a year. That was.
I hope they're right, because we are Moderna, and she Moderna, right? So I hope they know something and ain't getting no notoriety. Now, for real, Joy, they had to put something out because Pfizer has been killing the game, got removed from emergency use to being officially the only approved booster, to the point that CVS and Walgreens has changed the announcement on their websites that it was just approved this morning. The major pharmaceutical companies start giving booster shots as of tomorrow.
That's right.
I know what I'm doing tomorrow.
And if you have Pfizer in your system, right, you better go out. Honey, CVS has so many open slots for this weekend. You better get online and get your appointment and walk up into CVS. And just in case, you need to read every question.
Y'all got some of them Pfizer booster shots. Anybody?
I highly recommend going to the pharmacies because they have been overstocked. You could have walked in. The gray area was this past month. Now it is official that they're going to be busy with the 65 and over, those that's willing to go. All the parameters, first responders and 65 and up, all they got to do is walk in and get their Pfizer third shot. So that's how great the boosters are great. And again, this is all great for their stock prices. And we're going to go out and get those boosters because we don't have to pay for it. It's free to us, but somebody's paying them to do this. However, the government.
The pandemic is not going to be over in a year because we are refusing to hit the critical mass needed for herd immunity. You still got people out here screaming hoax. You still got people out here refusing to get vaccinated. People out here that have caught it and then said, I'm still not getting vaccinated because I got it now, so I don't need it. I got my own natural antibodies, and that's how the
same way we need a booster shot, they're going to need a booster soon.
Yeah.
They're not going to get it. That's my point. We're not going to be out of this pandemic in a year because the people that didn't get the first or the second are not going to get a booster, and then it continue to be not only be a damage to everybody else, but continue to allow new strains. It ain't going to be over with Delta. That's the beginning of the Greek alphabet, right? So there's going to be some Chi's in there somewhere that's going to come around fucking with people around March of next year.
Look, I don't believe it's going to be gone ever, right? It's about whether or not it gets to flu level.
Got you.
That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Will it get to flu level? Because the same way they giving the boosters, they trying to stick you the same day with the flu shot.
Right.
And I was just like, damn, they're like, you get it both at the same time. Nah, I'll be back next week.
Yeah, y'all.
That's a little too much.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I just had the shingles. We over 50. I just had the shingles. Had to delay the shingles to get Moderna 1 and Moderna 2, then slipped in the shingles over the summer, then went back to number 3, but they were trying to give me, they were like this, trying to give me number 3 and flu. I was like,
Go ahead, Chuck.
No, I was just saying my third shot hit me worse than the first two. I was worn out. Like the first two, I was sleepy, but that third one, man, I was sluggish for days. I was sitting there thinking like, well, dang, man, like, am I going to ever feel like myself? And about 3 or 4 days into it, I was feeling good, but I was like, man, oh man, this is some good sleep. Like, I hope I ain't about to take the long nap, if you get what I'm coming from. So the forever nap, I was trying to avoid that. So yeah, so y'all go take those shots, man. And I know most of our followers are already taking their shots, and we appreciate that. But if you haven't, please get yourself in line and go and do it so we can get back to our lives as much as we can. I'm sick of it.
This is what we had: a COVID booster with a flu vaccine combo. It's going to be some kind of co-flu shot or flu co. That's what they're going to be. Kind of like Diptet back in the day. It's going to be some kind of flu co shot that you can get every year as new strains. Because remember, the flu shot. What do you call it? Mutates every year, and they have to try to figure it out and get something as close as they can. COVID seems to be mutating just as rapidly. The difference is the morbidity rate with COVID continues to be way higher than the flu. So it's always going to be killing us off. Maybe God is finally figured out how to get rid of some of us, since we can't seem to agree on birth control. So he's like, I got your birth control. Can't get you before, I get you after. And so here we go.
That's why I call it the Satan's genocide mission.
I can't say that, man.
Because this fool done said, if you asymptomatic,
go to school.
Even if you came in contact with a COVID person, if you're asymptomatic, you should still be able to go to school.
It's crazy.
And I'm like, what?
Talking about DeSantis. Okay, you threw me for a second. It's like, what about Satan? But DeSantis. Okay.
DeSantis.
Yeah, I can't stand them. We voted for Andrew. Ain't our fault.
The good thing is his idiot self, ain't nobody listening to him. So, but he just, we don't even know who he's talking to anymore. After the courts done flipped him and he's just all over the page. But Joy, it's they voters that's dying.
Right.
So that, I kind of sit back like, how's this going to play out? Now, we're dying too, right? But I see more black people in triple mask than I see out there being Shira out there. They're the ones that's at every hillbilly dance. And I wish they would start showing the faces of who's dying again. Instead of Gabby, I wish they would run the COVID deaths every day like they used to.
Me too.
We're desensitized to it.
Huh?
We're desensitized to it,
Clearly, because they don't even mention who died this week, much less this day. Mm-hmm. But I can watch 16 hours of Gabby for a week. I'm still a little pissed at that.
Yeah. And I see Jermaine Taylor as who's the new Surgeon General. It's Dr. Ladapo, I believe is the pronunciation.
Dr. Psycho.
Yeah, he's psycho. They'll always find a black man to try to justify whatever it is they want to do. And it's funny, like if you go all the way back to George Herbert Walker Bush walking Clarence Thomas out into the Rose Garden to supposedly replace the irreplaceable Thurgood Marshall. When you see things like that, and they finally push the black guy or the black woman like an Omarosa to the front, the white politician that's the Republican who has made the nomination, they sit back with this smug look on their faces, a smile as if, yeah, I got you. You say I'm a racist. You say I don't like black people. Well, here's the type of black person I like. And those black people are really like some of the comedians say, they're black crackers. I mean, at the end of the day, they're not really us. They're in blackface. They look like us, but they don't feel like us. They don't think like us.
Lord
it
Jesus.
has nothing to do with being a Republican or a conservative. Like, for instance, you sit Colin Powell down on this show with us, and we start talking about civil rights, he's going to sound like we do. He'll talk about all of the foolishness he went through during Jim Crow. He's still pissed off about it. We might not agree on other tenets. You could go point by point and be like, okay, he's a conservative on this, I'm a progressive on that, and go down the list. But when it comes to civil rights, we're going to sit here and have a good conversation. He's going to be like, yeah, I'm still pissed off about the stuff I had to deal with 50, 60 years ago myself. So that's the difference. It's not necessarily whether you're conservative or progressive. It's, do you think that civil rights are still an issue? Do you believe that inequality is still an issue? And they seem to always find some Negro to get on stage and prostitute the people out for their own little short-term game, be it an extra piece of cornbread, be it a couple $100,000 in the pocket, or 15 minutes of fame. There's always one of us who's willing to go and sacrifice the good for all for the good for themselves. And it's frustrating and it's sickening. So I don't give that brother any respect for the foolishness that he is a Harvard-trained medical. I don't care about any of that. If he was willing to get up there today, knowing as many people in Florida who have died, right? And over 600,000 Americans have died, more than all of the battle deaths, American battle deaths during World War II, right? If he's still willing to get up there on that stage and say, oh, mask wearing is not proven effective, social distancing, there's nothing else I need to hear from him, because he is a certified fool. So that's the answer to the question about Florida.
You're right. It's always one. I refer you back to our earlier conversation about the black man from North Africa that was running around with the Portuguese talking about, oh yeah, them South Africans, they a hot mess. They black and they stink and they greasy and they a bunch of hooligans and just go down there. They don't know. They don't even talk good. Just, can I get some more of that wine and chicken though? Like that is a thing. And
can I do a public service announcement?
Yeah.
What?
Sharpies and my co-host, I want everybody to go to Chris Cuomo's page on Twitter, Insta, everything, and I want y'all to say, where is Kelly Price?
Okay.
They just did an update on Fox Atlanta, and it's breaking news. I'm sitting there looking at all these places. Fox Atlanta just did an update less than an hour ago. The woman is missing. I want everybody to inbox, tweet, Insta, CNN, Chris Cuomo got 30 more minutes of his show. Tag Chris Cuomo, tag the producers. Where is Kelly Price? Mm-hmm. How do you have a superstar, black superstar missing, and y'all ain't done no breaking news? The woman was in a hospital with COVID. All of a sudden, 3 weeks, she got released. Her family didn't think she was well enough, and now nobody knows where the hell she is. And they are asking people to call 911 if they have any information on Kelly Price. I want you tweet your friends, post it on Observation. Where is Kelly Price? And I need before we get off of Steel, Sharp and Steel, for them to break the news on CNN. Because while we've been sitting here, I have looked up and seen the woman that they already found, and she dead. They done talked about her at least 15 minutes of the last 36 minutes.
Mm-hmm. And his account is not closed on Twitter because I don't even follow him, but I just typed his name in and found his account. And
he stays. He's a narcissist. He stays looking at his social.
Yeah, DM him. Where's
black superstar Kelly Price missing? Released from hospital with COVID, and nobody knows. Not even her family know where she at. Call to action.
Yeah, take a moment. Go ahead and do that. Get your phone out. You can go and come back. We'll wait.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Go ahead. I ain't got number time and opportunity over here.
We can pull out the cigarito.
What you smoking on?
This actually is nothing. It's just smoke. I just like to wait. I like to blow the smoke. That's it.
True that.
Mm-hmm. But wait, you wait until I'm off these damn diet pills. Once I get up these diet pills that I'm on, it's on and popping. I already got one lined up over here, and it's just called Thunder. I don't know what's in it, but I will.
I know that we are working our way through the lineup for the day. I tell you something else that's interesting is I felt sorry talking about what goes underreported. I hated to see earlier today that actor Michael Williams' death has been called by the coroner for an overdose of fentanyl, heroin, and cocaine. And Lord have mercy. That death hit me. But I've been dealing with so many deaths of people I know, like family and friends lately. But the celebrity deaths can hit you too, and his hit me almost as hard, might be just as hard as Kobe's. And I thought that it was interesting that he had written such an eloquent, eulogy, so to speak, about Kobe in the days after Kobe passed away, and he was talking about his own that. Yeah, and now he's gone. It's just one of those things that when they're in your age group and what have you, and you start to see the birth and death dates in the 60s, 70s, and dead man, it's not easy to get used to. Mm-hmm. And he was a brilliant actor. Once he passed a couple of weeks ago, I started watching Boardwalk Empire again because I had already binged The Wire earlier this year. And so once I finished Boardwalk, I'll probably binge Lovecraft Country one more time. And boy, we're gonna miss that brother. But again, it's one of those things where we just have to continue to advocate on behalf of our people, because when you see people talking about the opioid crisis, when you hear them on the news talking about fentanyl and what have you, more often than not, the faces that you see on the documentaries and exposés, they don't look like us. And there's an argument to be made that the reason the state and government are taking such strong hardline stances against opioid addiction is because that is still primarily an addiction that impacts them way more than it does us. But at the end of the day, we have to continue to take treatment and drug addiction seriously, because it knows no race, unfortunately, and socioeconomic status doesn't prevent you from succumbing to it as well.
It's only a question of access.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting you said that. I remember Richard Pryor talking about that. I want to say it was Live on the Sunset Strip. It might have been that's the comedy special, and he talked about crack and drugs going through the black neighborhoods, and how he said, white folks drive through the black neighborhood like, isn't that a shame? Look at that. That's just a shame. This is just sad. As they drive through, this is terrible. This is just sad. And then they get home and their son is doing it like, oh my God, it's an epidemic. And then it's something that they gotta do something about. It's something that needs to be treated as opposed to incarcerated, But I wish him well on his travels to wherever his soul is.
Amen.
He was a great actor, and I love his story. I love everything I've ever seen him, and I've never seen, as far as I know, I've never seen him do anything that wasn't stellar.
It's heartbreaking. On top of drug overdoses, suicide, particularly on Black men, are off the charts.
Yeah.
They are all young Black men, especially, are off the charts, and our babies just don't feel like there's a reason to be here anymore.
Yeah.
And it's so heartbreaking. There's been a rash of fentanyl overdoses amongst celebrity circles over the past 2 months. Somebody just put in the chat about us dropping in Leon County. It's like, it's so paralyzing because it just feels like everything is so out of control.
Mm-hmm.
But it really is. People are trying to numb the pain. People are trying to be out of their right mind. Right? Some are doing it through drugs. Some are doing it by taking themselves out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so painful to see it get to that. I mean, it's coming front and center. I mean, it's not the downtrodden. It's just the people that's like, why do all of this? What is all of this for? And it's so heartbreaking when you even think about the stuff that we're talking about, that we just need to put our arms around our babies, put our arms around our community. It's almost parallel to why people are not going back to work.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've ever been in pain for an extended amount of time, I'm talking like recovering from surgery or something like that, and the pain, the ache is dull, and the ache will not go away. Nothing you do. The medicine's not working. You can't get comfortable, and you find yourself crying because you can't stop the pain no matter what you do. Exacerbate, like multiply that times 100, and then don't talk about it. And that's what drives people to suicide. Like the hypervigilance that Black people live under in this country on any given day, at all times, at all ages, because even 5-year-olds, we've shown a video here a long time ago, like a little 5-year-old playing basketball in his front yard, saw the cop car drive by and knew to hide from the cop car in his own front yard. They're aware of it, which means they're vigilant for it, which means they're already living with an elevated level of stress. Age 4, 5, 6. Then you add on top of that, the we call them microaggressions, but the constant bullying that goes on in school. You only here because you're on scholarship. Your hair is ugly. People getting their hair cut in school, for whatever reason. I know you got all the answers right on this test, but I'm going to fail you because you're Black and I think you cheated. Like all of this that they have to live through, that mental pain, it never goes away. It never goes away.
Yeah,
and
like
so how do you deal with it?
That time back
if you can't cry about it, because we keep telling our young boys that men don't cry,
suck it up.
Suck it up. And I had to go through this, and you be a man about it, and blah blah blah. And what's their outlet? And if they're not killing each other, they're killing themselves.
Sharpies, we love y'all. DM us. If you're alone, if you're in pain, I need you to just talk in the chat. We here. We'll stay on. We need you. If you ain't checked on your loved one, if you ain't checked on your mentee this week,
check on your mentees, exactly, because it's not our demographic. People over 40, there's a level of understanding at that point. If you made it to 40, you're already doing good.
Check on your kids, check on your nieces and nephews, your cousin, them. 13, check on your babies.
11,
20 somethings.
It's the
I just
teenager.
found out that they're saying that Kelly Price was found
Well, that was quick. Good. Thank you, Sharpies. Look at y'all.
Yeah.
What does it say, Chuck?
Yeah. Some of my
That's
posts
breaking news.
on my post, they're like saying that her attorney has put out a statement that Kelly Price is safe despite being missing in Cobb County. Yeah, and there's an Atlanta Journal-Constitution article that's just popped off. Representatives for well-known gospel and R&B singer Kelly Price say that she is safe despite a missing person report filed in Cobb County. Price was reported missing after she was discharged from the hospital where she was being treated for COVID-19. Officials confirmed Friday. According to reports from TMZ, her representatives claim that she is not missing and is safely recovering from her hospital stay in private. Cobb police have not confirmed that her missing person investigation has been closed. Well, hold on now. When I read that, I don't know about y'all. I don't. When I hear that the publicists and the attorneys, well, no, I have to assume that if the attorney is making the statement, the attorney ain't gonna put themselves at risk by putting out some false. I would hope whatever. Well, what's that movie? Proof of Life. We might need some proof of life or something like that. They might need to do an USTI or a selfie or something showing that, hey, she's chilling and what have you, because this could be in response to what the breaking news is, which is, hey, let's just put something out. Sharon, right. I know that you have dealt with your crisis, that in your career you've dealt with crises before. Do you think that, well, hold on.
Look, Sharpies, we got the pressure on. They're reporting on it. That's what matters. So
yeah. Mm-hmm.
While you gather that next piece, just to answer CJ, about, when I mentioned like it's not our demographic. When I was saying that, like, Sharon was saying, Sharpies, we'll stay on, we're here to talk to you. I know the people that are watching our show right now, if you're feeling something, yeah, we are here for you. Reach out to one of us. Most of y'all know us personally in some way, shape, form, or something. However, there's so many more kids that don't have anyone to turn to, or the very people that they live with that are supposed to be protecting them or not, because they don't like, their way they dress or their sexual orientation or their desire to do something that they don't approve of necessarily. So they turn their backs on their own kids, thinking that's going to toughen them up. We've had these conversations all over the internet about seeing celebrities do stuff talking about, I want my kids to earn it, because I had to, and not giving them like basic things. Like, you're not going to get your kid a cell phone because you make billions of dollars. That's ridiculous. Like, not nurturing the next generations is something that I think the people watching our show, this 45 and over crew that's watching our show right now, talk to your friends, talk to your cousins, and talk to your nieces and nephews that are in their 20s and 30s about their children, because we are hitting them grandparent ages right about now, who, like I said, are 4 and 5 and 6 years old. Don't assume that just because a child is 7 that they don't feel something really deeply, that they can be scarred by adults ignoring their needs and their trauma and everything, because we so often tend to just, little boy, go in your room and lay down, quit being crazy, blah, 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 blah. That's when it starts. And that's when they start not talking to their parents about what happens. If you're like, why doesn't my 18-year-old listen to me or talk to me about what's going on with them? Because you didn't talk to them when they was 8. So pay attention at an earlier point in their life. And then maybe we can start to, and stop demonizing or dismissing mental assistance. Everybody can use a therapist, a psychiatrist, a priest, a rabbi, a mentor, a coach, or something, somebody outside their family structure that they can talk to about stuff in a different way. So let them have that. Why does it always have to be my kid's not weak? They don't need no XYZ. If your kid was sick, you would take them to the doctor. If they had a cold, but here they are suffering through God knows what. And you're like, you know what? Just, go outside and run, just watch TV and you'll be all right. Why are you acting so blah, blah, blah? Just because you don't understand it. There's so much more we could be doing. And I specifically say this because we have for a few generations now looked at mental therapy as white people shit. If there's one thing that we could pick up from them, and we should, is getting a therapist. And everybody, my therapist got a therapist. We should be that way. and be paying more attention to our mental health as people of color, not just Black Americans. I'm looking at all of y'all out there. We need to get our shit together if we're going to really try and help the next generation.
Amen. I saw a meme earlier today. I know we always talking memes, where it was a person with the Jordan tears crying cartoon, getting ready to wash a sink full of dirty dishes. And the caption was something to the effect of, the kid told the parents, "I'm depressed." And the parents shot back, Black parents shot back, "Depress them dishes," or something to that effect. And that's kind of, we got to get past that. Just like Joy is saying, just like Sharon is saying, I have no shame in it. You know, one of the things that we have to also watch out for is, you know, how you get these reports every now and again about how, you know, white physicians sometimes don't exercise the same level of pain management pills for Black people that they will for whites, assuming that if I present or Joy presents or Sharon presents, like, well, they can't be that much in pain. They're probably exaggerating, or you know, ain't gonna give them
drug seeking.
You know what? Chuck, you said I will publicly share. I have been in tremendous pain, like debilitating mobility for all of COVID, right? To the point where I ride a scooter if I have to, right? And I mean debilitating. And I've gone to doctors no less than once a month this year. And I'm talking about, they're looking at me. They're like, it's always the question, what's your pain level? And I'm talking about excruciating. Like, I went to stretch therapy today. Some days when I'm not on, I just can't. And do you know, it just dawned on me for the very first time, as high tolerance for pain as I have, that no one has ever offered me a painkiller.
See what I'm saying? They're assuming you're going to be all right. Yeah, they assume that.
And this has been going on for... I just had this, and I'm a person that has a high tolerance for pain and probably wouldn't take it, but nobody has offered it.
And guess what else, Sharon? They, and we all know who the they is. Many of them, I don't want to just broad brush, many of them don't assume that we have mental health issues that need to be addressed either. But I say, to hell with them and they. You take care of yourselves. There are plenty of great physicians and psychiatrists, psychologists, therapists that you can go and sit and talk with, and man, just go and talk. Like you say, do not take yourself out. I mean, I tell people all the time, I'm going to fight the Grim Reaper with all I have. When I go, the Grim Reaper would have got a good scrap, because I like sucking down his oxygen, right? And I want, no matter how bad things get, we all have those really awful days. We all do. But I always think each and every day when I wake up, like, hey, today is a day to be better than I was yesterday. And I pray that all of you can find similar levels of peace on this tedious journey, like they used to sing in church, right? So, well, y'all, have we pretty much hit all our topics for the evening?
No, we got one more. I know you're trying to get out of here, Chuck, because we promised you an hour and we're 13 minutes over. So,
okay.
One more thing I want to talk about is real quick. I'm just gonna say one thing. I want y'all to think about this correlation. Think about the fact that Black people don't tend to be believed when we say that we're in pain. We tend to be on the low end of health insurance and sometimes need to self-medicate. And so we turn to weed, and then they criminalize weed and put us in jail for it. I just want y'all to think about how that all works together real quick.
Oh, but they disbelieve only because I can't even put myself amongst people that truly deserve the empathy, right? I have no filters. Do you know one of the doctors actually told me, Joy, that, well, maybe it's in your head.
Oh yeah, I've been told.
I'm literally having this moment, like, and I'm at the Mayo Clinic. I'll call them out. I'm at the Mayo Clinic. And because they could not find the cause, by the third month, they were literally like, maybe you're making this up. That's when they met Sharona, though. They did meet her that day, and they got some act right. But it just, I think my memory's going a little bit too.
Right. And then
but I just sat here. I was so
angry all the time because that's all they respond.
Yeah, and I'm so liberated. I'm so free. It takes a lot to make me angry, and because I know I'm psychologically impacted since November 2020. No, 2016. I'm still a recovering Trump addict, and so I think that's part of my alertness just is in a fog. Like, did you really just say? Any other time I just pop off and become Sharona. They met Sharona after that one though. That was like, I remember calling Al like, I think somebody just said to me that I'm making up this pain. Like I would drive from Tallahassee to Jacksonville every month because I'm seeking attention. Like, really?
Like, you can just walk naked down the street to Tallahassee if you want attention.
But I mean, severe pain. The only times I'm not in pain is when I'm sitting still, like here in this box, right? But as soon as this goes off and I move, it's back right there. But yeah, I'm having a moment. Excuse me, everyone.
You all right?
You know who else is having a moment and is not having a good one? Former President Trump, because they did some more recounting with the the Ninja service over in Arizona, and he lost some votes in Arizona.
But his own people recounting.
His own people recounted, and they were like, "Actually, it's worse than we thought. You lost harder than we thought.
Lost 90. Biden gained 216.
Yeah, he's terrible.
Be careful what you wish for."
And my sister's in Arizona. I hope I can't wait for her to give me the update on what's really going on in the streets.
And I hope he runs again. He's very beatable. And we need to continue to run against him in 2022. Like, put him on every ballot, because there are a lot of independent voters, in particular swing voters, who
never again
reminded how crazy it was when that man was in office. So,
but anytime they get lower, we actually think it's the bottom, and it's a whole lot of sinkholes left. It's a whole lot of sinkholes left.
I always thought
$6 million. Let's talk about the tax dollars. Right. $6 million on this faux recount.
It's crazy. And it was always a sham. It was always a sham.
It was always. I want to know who got paid that $6 million, because
that's all I want to know. I want to know, like, were they busy tampering with the machines? What is? How do you save face to that? Like, when does crazy run out?
Right.
Well, I thought the hell was a bottomless pit.
And so we are definitely watching hell.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't jumping in that pit yet. We are definitely watching hell.
Now, Emil makes a good point. This is a trial run for minority rule tactics, when they can start to say, this is so corrupt that we need to come in and take over because the masses can no longer govern themselves. They'll try it. That's what they.
I know this foolishness. They think they're the Taliban.
I think
they think they're the Taliban.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, they already tried to overthrow the government. So
how'd that work out?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as test runs, not bad.
Get up, people. I'm back on my get it up. Get it up.
Mm-hmm.
I got mine in November of 2016. I don't know what y'all been waiting on.
But you know what? I have to put this out there with all this madness we're talking about. When we say get it up, I'm really not joking. Like, it's not like tongue in cheek. No. Because every day reminds me more and more of Black Wall Street and Rosewood.
Mm-hmm.
And we are just simply not afraid enough for them, right? Mm-hmm. And history is repeating itself. And if we just caught the ancillaries of Black Wall Street and really don't know the history of Rosewood, Chuck and I were fortunate enough to be young adults when it got legislated under now Congressman Al Lawson in the state of Florida. I was a legislative aide, by the way, Chuck, during that period. So when I even think about even my first career move, what I was exposed to with Rosewood, y'all need to really research what happened in Rosewood in Florida And definitely Tulsa, Oklahoma, as much as we've heard about it, we need to like absorb it because go ahead, Joy.
Understand that there were over 50 race riots where multiple Black people lost their lives, similar to Tulsa and Rosewood. It happened in Chicago. It happened in Northern California. It happened in Ocoee, Florida, just around the corner from Orlando. It happens over and over again. It happened in New York. It happened, I want to say it was in like Ohio, I forget the city, but it happens everywhere. It was more than a handful of Black people gathered around and they got to smiling too much. They burned it down. And the idea that it only happened once or twice is the same way they want us to think about lynching only happened once or twice. It happened over and over and over again. And this is what I've always tried to tell people, like, unless you are prepared for the onslaught of violence that they will resort to when politics no longer goes their way, and it's already not going their way, the onslaught of violence, you don't need a whole lot of really agitated and angry white people to decimate 8 to 10% of the population. You only need 10% of them to do it. And you only need a few of them with the right people, the right connections. Think about January 6th. You didn't have huge hundreds of thousands of people mobbing the Capitol. You had a gang of folks and some cops on the inside to let them in.
Definitely. I can't wait for that report to come out.
And also
that's the story that has not been told adequately at all.
This is Lake Lanier, and we've been saying Lake Lanier was haunted for decades now. Remember back in school, Chuck, we used to tell people don't go out there because the ghosts will grab your legs. Lake Lanier was built on is a flooded Black town.
Yeah,
and no houses or nothing.
Long that the ghosts after the people who was responsible for the killings.
Yep.
But you're right. You got to be careful out there.
Yep. But I'm not trying to be a ghost to get my revenge. I stay gathered up.
Amen.
I'd rather be walking around with a pitchfork. Yes.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, I make a lot of jokes about the zombie apocalypse, about watching The Walking Dead. I watched The Walking Dead as a training video, not for how to kill zombie, how to deal with other folks when they decide they're going to run their own little small kingdoms and come for me. How to understand how to fortify me and my friends over here, and you stay over there, mind your business, Negan. Ain't nobody messing with you. If you come this way, that's your ass. Like, I need to be able to protect me and mine. I won't start nothing, but I will damn sure finish it. And so if you don't have that mentality, I remember having this discussion with one of my friends who is way more tenderhearted than I am. And we were talking about extreme measures. Like, what will you do if the shit really does hit the fan? She was like, I don't know, Joy. Could you really just kill somebody? Yes. Hell yes, I could.
To protect
because I already made that decision in my head years ago.
Twice. Yeah.
Say what?
You wouldn't even think twice to protect yourself. I wouldn't
think twice. And I'm not saying I'm going out marauding. I'm saying that if I'm gonna be in my house and I'm behind my little fortified land, the right to bear arms to protect my property, as my Second Amendment allows me to, just like all you other motherfuckers out there, I'm gonna use the same logic. I'm over here minding my business on my property. You step foot on my property, it's gonna make your day just like all the other parts. I'm from Texas. That's how we roll. I will make your day. Don't come over here. That's all we ever asked. All we've ever asked as a people trapped in the United States is leave us the hell alone. Don't come over here. Just stay over there. You know what? We wouldn't have pushed so hard for segregation if we didn't figure out it was safer for us if you couldn't bomb us all together. You know what? I'm going to go put my house in between hers and hers. Now I dare you. I dare you to bomb this bitch because you're going to get your friends. And that's the only reason we really pushed for it. It wasn't. Yeah. Now it's safety and hiding in between. That's what segregation really got us. Was it's harder to just drop a bomb on Tulsa. You know what I'm saying? So anyway. Last thing I want to talk about, and yes, Jay, don't start none, won't be none. And you should have bought ammo years ago because the price of ammo has been going up. But anyway, it's never too late. As long as you find it, Walmart always got ammo. But there's a show on now that I haven't personally watched, but I know the two of you have, and it's got one of my favorite people, Joe Morton, on it. It's called Our Kind of People, and I haven't had a chance to check it out yet. But for those of you that have, what do you think? I'm hearing some really good reviews about it, but I'm also hearing some, that it's a hot mess too. So what's the verdict on this thing? Should I waste my time with it? What do you think?
No, you should watch.
Go ahead, Chuck.
No, you should watch it because it's black people, right? And I'm
That's
always
not enough for me anymore. I can just be watching because it's black.
I'm gonna need
It is Joe Morton though. He does
it
command my respect
because we need the viewers. We need because what happens is essentially the more of us that watch, the more of us that even talk about it on social media and hashtag and stuff like that, it will help other people get their projects on air. So in a way, it's being altruistic to do it. It is not the greatest show so far in one episode, but it was watchable.
It was watchable.
It was. That's a good way to describe it.
It was watchable.
You're doing good, Chuck. You're doing good.
Thank you. And it's one of those things where, some shows, if they don't catch me in the first 5 or 10 minutes, I'm like, I ain't about to watch this, and I'll turn. But it was watchable. I thought it got better as the episode went on. I thought that some of it was a little over dramatic, but it's what it is. But go ahead, Sharon, take it away.
It's definitely about the Black elite and wanting to be the Black elite, right? And they do bougie a little over the top because it's not ratchet bougie. It's not empire ratchet. It's traditional.
It's full on bourgeois.
Oh, it's bourgeois. It's Martha's Vineyard. It's these kids. It's so funny to be a Jack and Jill mom and to see the way they typecast it. I was like, who y'all talking about? I mean, they're trying to do a lot of the traditional Blackness, but it's total Martha's Vineyard Negroes, right? And that's a different type of Negro. Yeah. Right. And
we used to talk dirty about them in Houston.
But and then they want to put the little ratchet in there. So it's a little, the first episode was not blockbuster, right? And we have to realize it's actually replacing Empire. And Lee Daniels is the executive producer, which is interesting because I had to do all this research after, like midway through, because I was like, I can't get through this episode. And then I had to go. Chuck, I ain't gonna lie. I was like, oh, I can't believe, because I am betting on Black, right? I've watched so many fringe one episode Black. I search all day looking for Black stuff. I mean, it's not just, I finally sat on a plane this past week, made my second excursion since COVID to DC, and I watched MLK FBI.
Oh yeah.
Which we have to do an episode on just that because it's a lot. I can't believe it, and everybody's not like on top of that. It took me a long time, but I finally I want to watch it 2-3 times now to catch the nuggets. Well, it ain't that either, right? And it's really, if it wasn't Lee Daniels made, I would think it was somebody's first piece. Yeah, and then midway through and the cliffhanger where it is now, and yes, Morton makes a difference. He's going to bring me back to a couple, and I'll do 3-4 seasons. I'll do 3-4 episodes. I don't think I've ever abandoned a show. I've gotten to the end and just been like, yeah. But I think that they're going to get some feedback. Lee Daniels is famous for getting guest directors to come in and puff it up. But it's having a not so fantastic start.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's give it to week 2 and then
see
what happens.
Yes, he did. Yes, but he did. He's not as sharp and crisp, or maybe because it's not Kerry Washington in front of him. But I'm gonna give it a second run.
Yeah, me too. Right.
And it might be that Joe Morton might not be working with as
that might be a good critique on Yaya.
Yeah, might be
because the Needy Greedy, she didn't do a great first episode.
She did
at all.
She didn't, and but once I heard that it was a Spelman sister that was behind the whatever, I was like, well, I'm gonna, like you say, try to push through and check the show out. So
it gave me a little bit. It gave me a little bit of Chocolate City's first movie. What was that? 1996.
Yeah, with Rob and Will.
Rainforest.
A little bit. Yeah. And look at them now. So
right. You start here, and then you
we're gonna ride with them.
Absolutely.
All right. All right. I'm gonna give it a look. I will abandon the series midway. I do it all the time. There's a whole bunch of 3 out of 7s on my Netflix and Hulu. And I'll be like, nah, can't do it. But I'll give you 3. I'll give you 3, and then I'll come back and let you know what I think. I'm a huge fan of Joe Morton. I will forgive him a whole lot.
I do. I am
it
too.
It could also be that his monologue delivery might not be as tight as it was on Scandal, because the writing is just not as tight, and he's working on what he got. So we'll see. Yeah. I'll give it a shot.
It's prime time. It's not. They ain't on no budget.
I mean,
it's Fox's only black show, so yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
Well, I will tell you, we said
Queen Sugar kicked off this week. I think it's gonna be the final season.
I'm gonna wait for the final season to be over, and I'm gonna binge it all because I've never watched Queen Sugar.
It's a wonderful show. It's a wonderful show. It's having a little interesting kickoff too.
About it. Mm-hmm. I gotta take it back. I watched the first, I think the first 20 minutes of the first episode of Queen Sugar, and I figured out what it was about. And I was like, all right, this seems cool. And then I don't know, my life happened and I forgot all about it.
But go back. I'll go back. Worth it. It's worth it. I watched The Wire
10 years after it went off the air. So I'll be late on stuff.
Y'all can cuss me out. I still ain't got through the whole season yet.
Say what?
The Wire.
I still ain't got through all of The Wire yet.
Yeah.
I will admit it. And I am ready to binge.
Yeah, I binge it once a year around Christmas time. So
okay.
Yeah, my yearly Wire binge is coming up. Mm-hmm.
We got to pay tribute. We got to pour some wine for the brother.
Yeah, man. Rest in peace, Mike. Mm-hmm. And for the brother, the Omega, who was found dead. That continues to just bother the hell out of me because you look at him, he's 20. Was he 25, 26?
Wait, who are you talking about?
The Omega grad student who was found dead that we were talking about at the top of that.
Oh, earlier. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know he was an Omega.
I didn't realize he was an Omega.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
One of my Omega friends were the first people I saw posting.
Daniel Robinson.
Mm-hmm. So we're definitely saying prayers and
keep your people close and safe.
Mm-hmm.
The apocalypse is here. I mean, we already in it. We just don't know. It didn't show up the way we thought it would. It came in like a lamb, and we all like, oh, this isn't the apocalypse. It's just the flu. All right, think what you want. But people are losing their shit out here for real. I mean, the reason we see so many videos about, folks accosting other folks is because people keep accosting other people. If they bit their faces off, we would say this was a zombie apocalypse. It's the only difference.
Now I want to acknowledge the correction. I think we're talking about two different people, but the person that I believe Chuck was describing is Jelani Day.
Okay.
Our Sharpies are correcting me in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
So close us out, Joy. This is a somber night.
You know what?
You should put up a little baby that was climbing the refrigerator.
I don't have that one, but I do have something for you that I've been meaning to show. When I do mess around and watch TV, I catch the show called Ninja Warrior, and they had this dude on that was super classy. And normally people that do Ninja Warrior, it's a gauntlet type thing. You got to do all these obstacles or whatever. But people show up, they got on their gym, track outfit or workout clothes or whatever, and they got on their track shoes because you're about to run and jump over like hoops and water and things and slide around or whatever. This is the smoothest cat I've ever seen. I'm gonna take us out the screen so we can all see it uninterrupted. But check this brother out.
First time back in Vegas since season 9.
And check this out, taking a slow approach. Everyone else is sprinting across these, but it works.
And going right into the swinging blades.
To be able to do this in a suit is an obstacle in itself. Nice.
He owns a gym now, and his training, he says, has reached another level. And he's been much improved the last couple of years, but Double Dipper is where his run ended the last time he was here.
All right, Matt, here we go. He about to ride dirty.
Launched up.
Almost missed that landing platform.
Now further than he's ever been on stage 1. How's that for classy?
Oh!
A great recovery.
Okay, I see you, Matoya, with the lycra and the stretch pants.
And the classy ninja looking sharp. And a good pace off ball. Time shouldn't be an issue. But very easy to make a misstep here on Tire Run.
You're crushing it, bro. You got this.
Nice. Perfect. Come on, keep going.
5'7", needs a good swing. Control the momentum of this big wheel.
Ooh, he's so clean. Be clean, be clean. Nice. Oh, man, that's all right. He ain't taking the suit to the dry cleaner tonight.
You could see him spinning out, but he's got it. Still got a lot of work ahead of him.
He told us he's got something planned for us on the warp wall.
Oh, is he?
Oh, 360.
We've seen him do a 360 on the warp wall. He just called for it.
Look at it again. Even with the clock ticking and the pressure on, he goes 360 on that wall.
But the clock's down to 45 seconds, and looks like he's going to try the high road.
All right, he's going, he's going.
No one's been able to figure this out tonight. Watch it on Dipping Birds.
Oh, he's going for it.
Oh, my. How classy would this be? Another one-hand save.
Okay, he did a one-handed save, a 360.
Now gets to climb the ladder to the buzzer. Well, this is the run of his life.
Here's a human highlight. What he got? What's he got? Wipe it off. Wipe it off.
Oh, there it is. That was classy from start to finish,
That was a way to close the show. I feel better already.
Me too.
You always find the good ones.
Yes, indeed.
The definition of a Sharpie. Yo, we're gonna make him an honorary Sharpie. You know, I remember hearing this a long time ago. You know, you can't outdo black people.
Absolutely.
So I watch that show all the time, but what y'all don't understand is just running up that little thing where he had to run up and catch the wall, doing that by itself. People screw that up all the time and fail. He did a 360 and caught the wall in a suit.
He brought back taking an airplane in a suit. That made my night. That was great.
That's how we going out. We going out classy, like your boy. Yo, I love it. I love it. So with that, we are 37 minutes and 10 seconds over our it's estimated time of an hour, because Chuck was like, I can't give y'all but an hour tonight. And so Chuck, I commend you, sir, for
good night.
I'm Sharon Letman Hicks.
I'm Chuck Hobbs.
And I'm Joy Stevens, and this has been a 3-person episode of Steel Sharpens Steel.
Yeah, you know what time it is. Crack open that bottle of wine. Grab your favorite glass, pour a couple of fingers of scotch in it. Get that stick, light it, and